First look. A person meets you for the first time and intentionally presents themselves as confident, composed, and highly capable. They speak clearly, maintain steady eye contact, and control their body language. Even if their actual competence is average, the way they introduce themselves creates a strong initial impression. This is the use of first impressions as a social tool to shape how others perceive you from the very beginning. Your brain forms a quick judgment early on to reduce complexity. Instead of constantly reevaluating the person from scratch, you rely on that initial impression as a baseline. New behaviors are often interpreted through that lens, meaning the first image continues to influence your trust, expectations, and reactions. As a result, the person gains a lasting advantage simply by controlling how they appear in the first moments of interaction. Limited time. A company offers a product with a countdown timer and messages indicating that the deal will expire soon. Even if you had no immediate intention to buy, the presence of a deadline creates a sense of urgency that pushes you to act faster than you normally would. This is a time pressure tactic where a limited window is used to influence decision-making and increase perceived value. When time appears restricted, your brain shifts from careful evaluation to quick decision-making. The fear of missing out becomes stronger than the need for detailed analysis. Instead of comparing options thoroughly, you focus on avoiding loss of opportunity. This reduces hesitation and increases the likelihood of immediate action, even if the decision would have been different under no time constraint. Give back. A person does you a small favor, such as offering help, sharing useful information, or giving you something for free. Later, they ask you for something in return, and you feel a natural pressure to agree or assist them. This is the reciprocity principle, where receiving something creates a subtle sense of obligation to return the favor. Your mind registers the initial favor as a social debt. Even if it is not explicitly stated, you feel inclined to balance the interaction. This internal pressure can influence your decisions, making you more cooperative or agreeable toward the person who helped you. The effect works because social norms encourage fairness and mutual exchange, and people tend to avoid the discomfort of feeling indebted. People follow. You are in a situation where you are unsure what to choose or how to act. You notice that most people around you are choosing a specific option, following a trend, or agreeing on something. Without fully analyzing the situation, you are more likely to follow the same behavior. This is social proof, where people rely on the actions of others as a signal of what is correct or acceptable. In uncertain situations, your brain uses group behavior as a shortcut for decision-making. If many others are doing something, it is interpreted as safer or more reliable. This reduces perceived risk and increases confidence in your choice. As a result, your behavior becomes aligned with the majority, even if you do not have complete information. Trust leader. A person presents themselves as an expert, authority figure, or someone with high credibility. They may use confident language, professional appearance, or references to experience and knowledge. As a result, you are more likely to accept their statements without questioning them deeply. This is authority bias, where perceived expertise increases trust and influence. Your brain associates authority with reliability. When someone appears knowledgeable or experienced, you are less likely to challenge their claims. This reduces critical scrutiny and increases acceptance of their guidance or recommendations. The effect allows the person to influence your decisions more easily, as their perceived status lowers your level of resistance. First number. You are shown an initial price, number, or reference value before evaluating other options. For example, a high starting price makes subsequent prices seem more reasonable, even if they are still relatively high. This is anchoring, where the first number you encounter becomes a reference point for all future judgments. Your brain uses the initial value as a baseline for comparison. Instead of evaluating numbers objectively, you adjust your perception relative to the anchor. This can make options appear cheaper or more expensive, depending on the starting point. The initial number influences your expectations and shapes how you interpret all following information. Say again. A message, idea, or statement is repeated multiple times across conversations, media, or interactions over time. You begin to feel that the message is more familiar and therefore more credible. This is repetition as a persuasion tool, where repeated exposure increases familiarity and acceptance. The brain tends to trust things that feel familiar. Repetition reduces cognitive effort required to process information, making it easier to accept, even without new evidence. Repeated statements start to feel more true, simply because they are encountered frequently. This increases the likelihood that you will remember, believe, and align with the repeated message. Copy actions. During interaction, a person subtly mirrors your behavior, such as matching your tone of voice, posture, gestures, or speaking style. You may not consciously notice it, but you feel more comfortable and connected to them. This is mirroring, a technique used to build rapport and increase social bonding. When someone reflects your behavior, your brain interprets it as similarity and alignment. Similarity signals safety and trust in social contexts. As a result, you feel more at ease and more positively disposed toward the person. This increased comfort can make you more open to their ideas, suggestions, or requests without realizing the influence. Change mood. Before presenting a message or making a request, the environment or interaction is designed to influence your emotional state. This could involve tone of voice, music, visuals, or storytelling that creates a specific mood. This is emotional priming, where your mood is shaped in advance to affect how you process information. Your emotional state acts as a filter for decision-making. When you are in a positive or relaxed mood, you are more receptive and less critical. When you are stressed or uncomfortable, you may become more reactive or cautious. By influencing your mood first, the person can indirectly influence how you interpret their message and how likely you are to agree or respond favorably. Fear losing. A situation is presented in a way that highlights what you might lose if you do not act. Instead of focusing on benefits, the emphasis is on missed opportunities, loss of access, or negative consequences of inaction. This is loss aversion framing, where decisions are influenced by the fear of losing rather than the desire to gain. Humans are naturally more sensitive to losses than gains. When a potential loss is emphasized, it creates a stronger emotional response than an equivalent gain. This pushes you toward quicker decisions to avoid regret. As a result, you may act faster or agree more readily when the possibility of losing something is made clear, even if the actual value is not objectively high. Repeat pressure. A person repeats the same request or suggestion multiple times during a conversation, sometimes in slightly different wording, until it starts to feel more acceptable to you. At first, you may hesitate or reject the idea, but after hearing it again and again, your resistance begins to weaken. This is repetition combined with subtle persistence, used to gradually increase acceptance of a request. Your brain becomes more familiar with the idea each time it is presented. Repetition reduces the mental effort needed to process the message, and familiarity often gets interpreted as validity. Over time, the repeated exposure can make the request feel more reasonable or normal than it initially seemed. This increases the chance that you eventually agree, not because the idea changed, but because your perception of it did. Small yes. A person starts by asking you small, easy questions that you are likely to agree with. After you respond positively a few times, they gradually move toward a bigger request that aligns with the previous ones. This is a step-by-step commitment strategy, where small agreements are used to build momentum toward larger acceptance. Each small yes creates a pattern of consistency in your behavior. Your brain prefers to stay aligned with previous actions rather than contradict them. As a result, when a larger request appears, it feels like a natural continuation of your earlier responses. This reduces resistance and increases the likelihood of agreement, because saying no would feel like breaking the pattern you already established.